Hello everyone and welcome to Action RPG. I'm your host Aaron, and for today's video we're headed to the world of the most hyped game of the decade. The action RPG that's gonna truly push the genre forward. A game that we could not wait to get our hands on. Yes, of course, the highly anticipated Path of Exile 2. We have now grinded it for 3 straight days and we are in the mid-60s on our Witch, Infernalist, Fire, Minion army. And sometimes we're having an absolute blast, and sometimes we are not. This video is going to kind of be my first impressions video, but more than anything else, we're going to do the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, I want to be as clear as possible right at the beginning of this video, okay? These are just my opinions, all right? Something that I think might be the worst, you might think is the best, or vice versa. Streaming on Twitch the last 3 days, there's somebody that'll come in and be like, this is the greatest game I've ever played, and 1,000 people are like, dude, what are you smoking? And then other people say this is the worst game they've ever played, and everyone jump. Like, just kick back, relax. It's not that serious, okay? But again, these are just my opinions. Let's start with the good.
Such ingratitude after all the times I've saved your life.
Let's start off with the easy, and of course that is the visuals, the graphics of Path of Exile 2. The game looks absolutely fantastic for day 3 of early access. And during stream I was asked over and over again, Aaron, what do I think is the best? Does PoE 2 beat Diablo 4? I do think they trade blows in a few areas, but I gotta say, arguably the best graphics I've ever seen in an isometric action RPG, Path of Exile 2. Now, sticking in that same vein, something else I really like with Path of Exile 2 is the environment. As you traverse Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, and I'm sure it'll be the same for Act 4, 5, and 6, very different environments. You know which act you are in by looking at it. You've got canyons and jungles and cemeteries and dreadnoughts. I think they absolutely nailed the environment throughout the campaign, and I am excited to see what they're going to do on the next 3 acts. Now, this next statement I'm going to make, I feel like is a statement of fact, okay? Not just my opinion. In Path of Exile 2, it has the absolute best boss encounters, literally including mini bosses of any action RPG I have ever played. These boss fights are so detailed. You are into the fight. You are trying to learn the mechanics. They're not too quick. They're not too long. I am having an absolute blast with the bosses inside of Path of Exile 2. Now, something else that I think is really good for Path of Exile 2 is the sound design. When you're in these intense boss fights, you're like on the edge of your seat with this thrilling music. When you're in the jungle, you can hear the environment sounds, you can hear the bushes, you can hear the trees. The ambiance of the game is absolutely stunning. I think they nailed the sound inside of the games. Sometimes on the edge of my seat, sometimes I'm relaxing and maybe falling asleep. Either way, I think they did an excellent job with the sound in PoE 2. Now, the last thing I want to talk about in the good category is character customization. I am a tinkerer at heart, which means I do not follow build guides or anything like that. I like figuring it out for myself, and being able to try so many different skills with so many different support gems and the ascendancy and the passive tree and your gear and your charm and everything added together. I'm having a blast trying different builds inside of the Witch. I'm very happy with character customization, and I know this is only going to get better as they introduce all the ascendancies and the other 6 classes. Character customization is definitely a plus. So now let's talk about the bad, and it's really easy to talk about the good. People don't really get mad at you for that, but the bad, they jump down your throats. You don't understand. Again, this is just my opinion. Now, the first thing we're going to talk about for the bad is the amount of crafting materials you get. Now, Jonathan Rogers said multiple times in multiple interviews before, like right before the release of Path of Exile 2's early access, is that if you are not crafting early, you are not crafting often, if you are not using your materials literally in Act 1 when you start the game, we have failed. And it is my perception that they have failed in this environment. You rarely find any crafting materials that you need, and they are so scarce and so unlikely that you're actually going to hit that item that you want, that really you're afraid to use them, so you end up just saving them. This could very easily be solved by just turning up the amount that actually drop, but I feel like crafting materials are way, way too scarce. Staying in the bad category, I believe this is the first isometric action RPG I have ever played in my life, at least that I can remember, where my gear is comprised of purchases from NPCs. Most of the gear that I am wearing on my character currently, I bought from in-town vendors. And that's fine if that's how it's designed. It's just normally in your action RPGs, you kill monsters, monsters drop loot, and you pick up that loot for your character. Currently right now, of course, there is items that drop in the game, but they are so scarce, and the fact of actually getting something for your character, you have better odds right now of gambling or buying your stuff from the vendor. It feels very, very backwards for an isometric action RPG. Now we're going to talk about the ugly, and this is my #1 wish list currently for Path of Exile 2, and that is simply the size of the maps. This is the first isometric action RPG that I can remember that every single map that I go into, it actually feels like more of an Easter egg hunt. I know there's fetch quests in all games, but the map size is so big that I think a singular map with the current movement speed inside of Path of Exile 2 is larger and takes longer to traverse than the entire Nahantu in DLC of D4 on your frickin' horse. I'm not comparing PoE 2 to Diablo 4. I'm just saying the size of these maps are absolutely massive, which means you're spending most of your time just searching for the door or the skull with a plus on it, wherever the hell it is. And then if you die, you have to redo the whole frickin' map because all the enemies come back. So the size of the maps, they could literally cut them in half and just like shave off the outside of it. And I think it would be so much better, because also in that same vein, in Path of Exile 2, there is so much backtracking. That's literally all I have for the ugly: size of the maps and backtracking. Now I have added a final section here, and this is the nervous. All right, so you got the good, the bad, the ugly, and the nervous. And I just want to be clear. So far, it has been a roller coaster with stream. At times I'm having an absolute blast. At times I am frustrated, but I am also a realist. I literally play every isometric action RPG there is, and I understand that this is only a few days after the early access launch of the game. This is early access week 1, so we know that the product we are going to get a year from now is likely going to be very different. But I can't talk about a product that isn't out. I just have to talk about how it is right now, okay? So I understand it's early access. I understand it's going to change a lot. But I want to tell you what I'm nervous about, all right? I'm going to tell you what I'm nervous about. I am not a fan of games that require a build guide to be successful or to be competitive. Currently, week 1 early access of PoE 2, this is the slowest action RPG I have ever played. It is the hardest action RPG I've ever played, and it is the longest action RPG I've ever played as far as how long the campaign is. And when you think about those 3 things, it is literally #1 on all of those categories. People are going to want to go faster. How do you do that? A leveling guide. People are going to want to clear content quicker because the bosses are hard, or they're going to hit a wall. How do you fix that? A meta build guide. People want to blast, right? So it is going to push that meta competitive spirit into build guides. Now, Aaron, why is that bad? The reason why I don't like that is because it gives an illusion of choice. So you've got 100 different skills and 100 different support gems and this huge passive tree and all of this gear and all of this end game, but 99% of the community plays these 3 builds because they're meta, because they're the fastest. It's an illusion of choice And I am really hoping, from a standpoint of the game evolving through early access, that it does not turn into that. During streams, I'm already people asking me for build guides. People are already saying, hey, the 2 guides that are out already, this is what we are playing. That is what makes me nervous. All right, everybody, that's the video. The good, the bad, the ugly, and the nervous. What do you think of my thoughts? Am I way off? Are my critiques wrong? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Please like, share, and subscribe if you think I've earned it. Check out the Discord, over 4,400 members. We do movie nights, a game giveaway, a merch giveaway every couple weeks. Voice channels cover everything Action RPG, over 4,400 members now in my Action RPG Discord. It is a great place to hang out. I'm live every day on Aaron Action RPG on Twitch, so come check out my new Witch Infernalist build. I'm done. Hopefully you were entertained or at least learned something. Aaron, out.